Hello. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dave, and I started my own business about 5 years ago. I've never started a business before. I was 50 years old at the time. One of my service offerings was coaching. I'd never coached before, and my other service offering was storytelling. So, what the hell is storytelling? So, obviously, I didn't do that either. So here I am 5 years later. I have a bunch of people coming up to me and saying, what's it like starting up a business for a first time? So what I thought I would do is put together a little bit of video and maybe just share, some of my experiences. I put together a little model. It's called the 4 P's and 2 C's. And what I tried to do was jot down just some of the emotions that I felt over the last year or so with the business. A lot of people seem to be starting businesses for the first time as well. People go through a period in their life where they've gone through a lot of change. It could be brought on by, like me, my midlife crisis. I decided I'd start a business. Others have gone through some kind of life-changing event, and they've decided they're going to go out there and, like me, often kind of leave the corporate world or leave the world of a paycheck and start up their own business. So I started mine about 5 years ago, and part of that was a big change that I had gone through. And I was kind of inspired by my mom. She shared this book with me a long time ago, and I kind of remembered it when I was trying to get the courage to go out there and pursue what I want to do. It's called Do What You Love and the Money Will Follow by Marcia Sinitar. I actually wrote about that in my own book. Part of my storytelling, which I found out a couple years after launching my business, was a book. So I wrote a book about my transformation and transition. And I actually mentioned that book and my mom in there. I'm just going to read this really quickly. This was written, and this took place in March 2017, so about 5 years ago. Accountant Dave, so I was an accountant at the time, also reminded me of the book my mom had shared with me more than 30 years earlier. Do what you love, the money will follow. So do what you love, Davey, and the money will follow. You have savings, regular and retirement related. You're not planning to retire anytime soon, or ever for that matter. So you can use them both. You can always find something else to supplement your income temporarily as you build your business if needed. Stay in the moment, take it day by day, don't panic. So that's what I was telling myself 5 years ago. And everybody's in a different situation. In my case, I had money saved up that could help me finance myself through this. So that's the Do What You Love, the Money Will Follow book. The other book I had in my hand before was a book called The E-Myth Revisited. And this is by Michael Gerber, and he had a different thinking on the business front. He talks a little bit about some of the statistics that within a year, 40% of small businesses fail, and within 5 years, 80% of them fail. So here I am at the 5-year mark, where 80% of businesses have failed. And I see a lot of my colleagues and people who started out with their businesses and their practices and 5 years ago, and a lot of them aren't doing it at all. Some of them are doing it part-time. So here I am. So what has allowed me to, besides having the money in the bank, to continue to do this? Remember, I was 50 years old. I've left my regular paychecks. I've left my pension. I've got 2 kids to support. And here I am off starting up this business. So I guess some of the things that I would share is, again, as I come up, I've got my 4 P's model. It's tough. So I think a lot of my P's have to do with persevering. So the first I had was actually, it's a word that I really love called grit. So it takes a lot of grit, and grit is 2 P words. It's perseverance and passion. So there are times when I've got a lot of passion. I'm really excited. I get out of bed. I can go and do that stuff. That drives me. There's times where I no longer have that passion. Some of the emotions that I wrote down that I've been feeling, and this is like within the last year, this is like within the last months, it's frustrated, anxious, overwhelmed, lonely, like I'm all by myself in my business. I have colleagues and other people that I can reach out to, but I'm by myself. Nobody understands what I'm going through or appreciates what I'm going through more than I do. So at times it can be really lonely. A lot of people, they mean well, but they don't even understand what you're going through, and it's not helpful. So insecure, discouraged, distressed. Like, you wouldn't believe how long it has taken me to feel comfortable coaching. It took me so many hours of coaching. You wouldn't believe how long it takes to go out there and connect and attract people who are going to be clients. So it is, perseverance and passion are huge. And I'd say the other one that's really important, another P, is positivity. There's days you get up there and, especially in the morning when I'm tired, I've got my inner critic or inner saboteurs just telling me, like, what are you, crazy? That you're supposed to be thinking of retirement right now. What are you doing out there? Using your savings and going out there and starting a business at this time? Are you nuts? And then there's the biggie that I added. This is a 3P model up until a little while ago, a couple of weeks ago, and I added the other one, and that is patience. Um, I've had some of my clients in coaching have said, Dave, I was ready for a change. I decided to, come in here and do the coaching with you. But, I've been following you and some of your stories now for years. So it's this, like my friend in sales, he calls it the sales cycle. I've got a 3-year sales cycle. So the patience is huge. And I think if you go out there, my hypothesis, you can test it out by talking to other people. If you go out and talk to other people, you'd hear something very similar. There was a friend of mine, and her brother had started up a business. It was a photography. And I remember I just met him. He just said, "Oh, I heard you started a business." I said, "Yeah." And he just looked at me, just sitting there nonchalantly. He just said, "It's going to take you 6 years." And you know what? Just to look at him in that, I have no doubt. So I'm at 5 years. I've actually got to the point where my passion brought me to the point where I was overwhelmed and burnt out. So I ended up taking off a year. It took me a while to get rebooted and get back into it. So I'm back on the saddle right now. And I don't want to be working the crazy hours that I did before. That's why I left that lifestyle. So I figure I'm kind of more on a part-time basis. So what have I done? I've got 3 years done, 3.5. So I got another 1.5 years to go part-time. So I've got still 6 years to go. So here's hoping my passion and perseverance and positive and patience um, continue to go day by day. And some days are good and some days are bad. It's kind of a roller coaster, but I've come this far that I just absolutely love what I'm doing. And if I didn't, there's no way that I'd still be around here. And the 2 C's, it's courage and craziness. So I don't know what it takes more of. I don't know if I'm courageous these days or if I'm just crazy. So anyhow, I share that with you. I don't want to scare anybody, but at the same time, I think people go out there and they just don't know what they're signing up for. One of my fellow coaches one day says, "I wish I didn't, if I had known, I wouldn't have signed up." So I don't want to discourage you, but just be mindful and be aware that you are going to face some of those emotions and some of those discouragements as well. Um, and hopefully you're going to be part of the 20% of the people who are able to persist and follow their passions, and use that positivity mindset to help them get through, and have the patience to keep at it. Because at the end, if you're able to do something that you really love, I still think my mom is right. I'm going to blame her if I'm not successful. I'm blaming my mom, but I still believe in her. Thank you, Mom, and thank you, and good luck for those of you new entrepreneurs. Cheers.